What is going on, beautiful people? My name is BetSam, and this is going to be the UFC Kansas City Ian Gary versus Carlos Prates full card breakdown. And before we get into the breakdown, I just want to express a little bit of gratitude because when we had UFC every single weekend, when there wasn't an off week like we just had, I was starting to complain, oh, this fight doesn't make sense for the division. This fight is boring. Why is this fight on here? I tell you what, you're going to have grateful BetSam here because I am just happy to have fights back on this weekend. Not only do we have fights, we have 14 fights at the time of recording of this. None of them have dropped out. If anything, they put a new fight back together. So we got 14 fights. Let's break into it. I'm excited. We're going to put timestamps in below so you can check that out as well. First fight of the night, we have Chelsea Chandler taking on Jocelyn Edwards. Chelsea Chandler is really a bottom-of-the-barrel women's bantamweight, but Jocelyn Edwards, I think, is that step up. I think that she's slightly better than a Chelsea Chandler, but slightly below, a top 5 type, top 7 type of fighter. And I think it's going to show here. I managed to get Jocelyn Edwards at a lot better odds than this. And if you were a We Want Picks premium member, you would have seen we were placing bets on this fight before it got down to this $1.33 mark. I will say, I think Jocelyn Edwards runs away with this fight. As long as she is not taken down and held down by Chelsea Chandler multiple times in the first 7.5 minutes of this fight, I think she can run away with it. And I think if there's going to be a finish, I think it's Jocelyn Edwards getting on top of Chelsea Chandler and either forcing a submission or getting a ground and pound TKO. That's where I think that this fight is going to go. And I'm going to lean towards Jocelyn Edwards here. And I actually like her still at this price. So I'm going to say Jocelyn Edwards sitting at around about a 85% confidence. I never enjoyed Chelsea Chandler. I've never been a Chelsea Chandler believer. The only time I've ever bet her was against Josiane Nunes because she's enormous comparatively, and I thought that she was just going to be larger than her, and that's what she did. She was just big and large and got on top. Jocelyn Edwards in this matchup, she's also large. She's actually, in the frame of her, she's actually a little bit bigger than Chelsea Chandler, and I think her striking is a lot better. I think her grappling is catching up. Give me Jocelyn Edwards to win this fight. Official prediction by KO or decision. Then we got Timmy Kwamba taking on Roberto Romero. Roberto Romero recently made his UFC debut against David Onama on short notice. Now he gets what I will call his follow-up performance, his real debut, if you will, against Timmy Kwamba. Timmy Kwamba is a fighter who has all of the skills but doesn't seem to put it together inside of the octagon. He has shown that he can hang until he cannot. And then when the pressure starts to get a little bit tough, Timmy Kwamba sometimes is nowhere to be seen. I think in this matchup here, Roberto Romero is the guy that's going to give me the heart. He's the guy that's going to turn up and, really gut it out. And even though there's been cardio questions in the later aspects of the rounds, I think Roberto Romero should be able to get it done over Timmy Kwamba with heart and grit. But as far as getting a bet on this fight, I couldn't find myself jumping on it. So Roberto Romero is going to be the pick. It's a bit of a 50-50 fight just from an external point of view so far. Then we got Jacqueline Amore versus Polyana Viana. And the line here you can see is $1.15. This is what happens when you wait to bet on an off week. It's been a full week. The lines have been out for a week or more. Jacqueline Amore, I got her at $1.28. Now Polyana Viana is, a huge underdog, $5.75. Jacqueline Amore sitting at $1.15. And the line movement makes sense to me. Look, when you looked at this slate, there was a few fighters that stood out to you. Jacqueline Amore, Ekram Alaskirov. You've got your Zhang Minyangs, your Damon Blacksheres. There are a bunch of fighters here that were favorites, and the line is just running away because we've had a whole week for people to start stacking their paychecks on it, stacking their bankroll towards it. And so Jacqueline Amore here at minus 650. I don't love the price, but I'd be lying if I was going to sit here and tell you that I think Polyana Viana is going to win this fight. So even though Jacqueline Amore is in a grappling ace, even though her striking is improving, at this price, I do want to caution you because minus 650, the value has been sucked clean out of this. The pick's still going to be Jacqueline Amore, and I do think she wins by finish as well, by submission. But, she could also get it done by ground and pound TKO. Polyana Viana tends to shell up when things are not going her way. Then we have Malcolm Wmaker taking on Cameron Simon. And, guys, this fight here is, in my opinion, the most anticipated, one of the most anticipated matchups on this card that is outside of the rankings. Neither of these fighters is anywhere near a top 15 ranking. However, this is going to be a competitive matchup. It's two young, hungry guys, and I say young even though Malcolm Wmaker is 30, but it's two new prospects to the UFC. Cameron Saaiman here, coming off of that destruction loss to Peyton Talbot, where even though he was keeping up with the striking as far as output, the power was clearly on the Talbot side, and it showed. Every moment that Cameron Saaiman was getting hit with a knee, with a big right cross, it was ooh, and I felt bad for him. I don't know how you guys feel. I'm a Cameron Saaiman enjoyer. I like this kid. I hope that he can make a run of it here in the UFC, because if he loses this, I think it's 0-3. It fights against Christian Rodriguez, Peyton Talbot, and now Malcolm Wmaker. This is no easy slate for Cameron Saaiman. On the Wmaker side, though, there are some comparisons that are being drawn as far as Peyton Talbot. And while the fighting style is not really comparable, Malcolm Wmaker isn't this come-forward zombie fighter. He does have the physical advantages. He is slightly bigger. He's got that frame. He clearly has power, as displayed on the Dana White's Contender Series and even in his early career as well. Cameron Saaiman should be the more well-rounded athlete, and we say that all the time. The more well-rounded athlete, the guy he's going to be able to mix in the martial arts. I don't know if it matters here, man. I think Malcolm Wmaker is going to have a power advantage, and we've already seen that when somebody has the power advantage over Cameron Saaiman, they can walk through his shots and then come forward. That's a path to victory that has been exposed. Has Cameron Saaiman, packed on some muscle, put a little more sting on those shots? We'll find out here. I think Malcolm Wmaker, though, I think if there's going to be a finish, it's Malcolm Wmaker by knockout. The pick here is going to be Wmaker. I'm going to say my confidence is about a 6 out of 10. I would like to see Cameron Saaiman potentially come back here, because I don't want to see him out of the UFC. And Wmaker, if he loses this fight, he's still probably got a 3 or 4 fight contract. He can come back. But as far as the pick goes, it's Malcolm Wmaker, man. I think he's going to have the punching power to create a difference here. Then we have Damon Blackshere taking on Alatang Haley. I love this matchup for Damon. If you guys haven't seen the Slam of the Week video, this is leg 1 of the Slam of the Week. We're doing a 2-leg parlay for the Slam of the Week. Leg 1 is Damon Blackshere, and the reason I love this matchup is that Alatang Haley is a pressure grappler. He likes to come forward. He likes to get his takedowns going. He likes to get top control. In this matchup here specifically, Damon Blackshere has a huge reach advantage, a huge height advantage, and I think that even if he gets taken down, he will be able to use his length as a means to either get a reversal, attack a submission from the bottom. I think that Damon Blackshere is going to be able to find that submission as well, because while Alatang Haley has competed against, UFC level competition, he's not competed against somebody with the frame and skill set of Damon Blackshere. So I think Damon is going to be able to get to that neck multiple times. He's going to be able to attack heel hooks, attack all sorts of submissions. You name a submission, Damon Blackshere is probably, going to be able to rack it up on his resume. He's got a twister inside of the UFC. The man attacks submissions from every angle. And I like his striking as well in this matchup, because Alatang Haley, outside of a big wild hook, I don't see him being able to contend with the length on the feet, being able to contend with the output and the pace of Damon Blackshere. I love this matchmaking because I'm a Damon Blackshere believer. My official prediction is going to be Damon Blackshere by submission. And I'm going to say confidence on this one, about a 7.5, 7.5 out of 10. I'm pretty high on Damon Blackshere here. I'm excited for this matchup, man. Then we have Chris Gutierrez taking on John Sexy Mexy Castanada. And, this matchup has just been rebooked. So this isn't exactly a fresh matchup to us. We've been anticipating this one for a while now. Chris Gutierrez is a striker. If you guys haven't seen him fight, he likes to back up, he likes to throw leg kicks, and he likes to skirt around the outside of the octagon for all 15 minutes. He will find a finish if somebody is completely damaged in front of him, but he will never hunt a finish. Chris Gutierrez is a decision-style fighter. He fights to a decision. That's his entire game is to kick legs and skirt around the octagon like he's Israel Adesanya. In this matchup here, John Castaneda will come forward. He will oblige. So it's going to be John Castaneda, the bull, and Chris Gutierrez, the matador. Who you like depends on who you think is going to be able to impose their will. Can John Castaneda, corner Chris Gutierrez? Can he slow down the movement? Can he land leg kicks of his own? Can he grapple? That's what it's going to come down to. Ultimately, for me, I'm going to take John Castaneda because I'm not a big fan of Chris Gutierrez's fight style, and that's as a pick. I'm on the John Castaneda side. As a bet, I haven't made it there. There's nothing for me on this matchup that really stood out as far as the lines go. Props just dropped today. I didn't see anything that I loved. John Castaneda here. It's not a price or spot that I'm in love with, but if you're looking for an underdog, then John Castaneda is at plus 120 here, so that's something that you could explore. I'm going to take John Castaneda. My confidence level, a low 5 out of 5. Then we have Evan Elder taking on Gage Young. Gage Young, this is going to be his UFC debut. Short notice call up here against Evan Elder. It's not an easy matchup. Everything that Gage Young does inside of that octagon, I feel like Evan Elder does, but he's a little bit stronger and a little bit better. The only advantage I'm going to give to Gage Young, and it is a bigger advantage, is the cardio. I think that Gage Young is going to have a little bit more gas in the tank if it goes late. Unfortunately for him, I don't think he gets there. Evan Elder swings with big and bad intentions. He lands damage. I think he's going to be able to get a young Gage Young out of here in rounds 1 or 2. I think it's going to be like a step up in competition that he's not necessarily ready for. Give me Evan Elder to win this fight by knockout. My confidence level, about a 7 out of 10. I wouldn't even hate if you're putting that on your official plays, Evan Elder by knockout. Then we got Matt Schnell versus Jimmy Flick. The matchup that, honestly, and I said I wasn't going to rag on this card, but this is a matchup that nobody wanted. Nobody foresaw coming, considering I thought both of these gentlemen were retired. But regardless, here we have it. And I don't hate the matchmaking because both these gentlemen, they're older. They've been in the promotion. They've had low success, we will say. And Matt Schnell here, he has a winnable fight in front of him. I actually like Matt Schnell. I've picked Matt Schnell in fights that he's lost. So, of course, I'm going to pick him here against Jimmy Flick. Jimmy Flick, the Brick is a very suitable name for Jimmy Flick because he's not very quick. He's not very, how do I say this without being offensive? Jimmy Flick is not a guy that you see doing anything special on the feet. On the ground, he's a pretty good submission athlete. But on the feet, he is hittable. His movement is not very good. His footwork is not very good. And he doesn't exactly possess a lot of power. So Matt Schnell, if he is an intelligent fighter, and a big pause there, guys. If Matt Schnell is an intelligent fighter, he can keep this standing and make this look like an easy matchup here against Jimmy Flick. I just don't know if I trust Matt Schnell not to explore the wrestling game, in which case he would open up an opportunity where Jimmy Flick could potentially spring an upset because he is a good jiu-jitsu player. I'm going to take Matt Schnell here. I'm going to take him to win inside the distance. I don't know if I can bet on him, but I can tell you what, I'll be on the couch cheering for him. I'll be hoping Matt Schnell gets that finish. I like the dude. So give me Matt Schnell to win this fight inside the distance against Jimmy Flick. If you are wanting to make money this weekend, probably just don't bet on it. Just skip this one. Morning coffee. Sorry, boys. Ekram Alaskarov taking on Andre Munes. This is another rebooked matchup. Ekram Alaskarov taking on Andre Munes. Originally, the odds were sitting at about minus 300 to minus 450. Now they've climbed to minus 650. There's no value. There is no value on Ekram Alaskarov's money line specifically. Should he win this fight? Absolutely. Should he be a 6-1 favorite? It's hard to say, man, because Andre Munes, he's getting old. Yeah, if he can't impose his jiu-jitsu will, he kind of gets smoked. But also on the Ekram side, it's like Ekram's beaten Wally Alves and Chinny Phil Hawes, and outside of that, he's been KO'd by Robert Whittaker. There's not exactly like this giant tier that he's been on. He's shown a striking deficiency against Khamzat Chimaev and Robert Whittaker, both times getting finished and swiftly. Now in this matchup here, he should win. Ekram should win this fight. So it's hard to say, I don't understand the line movement because I do think he should win. But if you're going to take Ekram to win this fight under 1.5 rounds. Take him to win this fight by finish because if this fight goes long, who knows? Who knows what we're looking at here? We haven't seen it, Ekram, late into the fight inside the UFC against a UFC level athlete. We'll see. But I'm going to take Ekram Alaskarov to win this fight by KO or submission. I don't have any official plays on it as of yet. Then we got my boy, Rude Boy, Randy Brown, taking on Nicholas Dalby. And if I didn't just give you the pick, I don't know. Randy Brown here, listen, 6'4", 6'5". The guy is enormous. He's got a long reach. He knows how to use it. He fights long. What I mean by that is he's not a guy that just comes in there, blasts, and gets stuck in the pocket. He will stand on the outside. He will use that jab, then slide the two across. He has beautiful striking. He can be out-grappled by some competition. Brian Battle was able to hold him, and this is keyword, hold him against the fence here, because he wasn't getting takedowns, He wasn't holding him down, but he was able to hold him against the fence. Brian Battle is a bit of a special athlete in the grinding type of sense. Brian Battle, he really gets in there, he guts it out. Nicholas Dalby has good cardio, and he is a good athlete. He has won a lot of fights in the UFC, but they're against not the highest level of competition. Nicholas Dalby has been able to expose people's cardio and will to fight late. That's not going to happen here against Randy Brown. Dalby has beaten Gabriel Bonfim, who death gassed in front of him. He has beaten, he's had a close contest against Renat Fakhretdinov when he gassed in front of him. Randy Brown is going to fight intelligently. He's not going to just be rushing for a finish. But I do think the finish will present itself because Randy Brown, once he has a 40-year-old Nicholas Dalby in front of him, not able to take him down and stuck striking with him, I think Randy Brown's going to be able to find that slide in too. I think he's going to put him down, man. I think Randy Brown gets the knockout here. It's going to be my official pick here is Randy Brown to win by knockout. Confidence level, I'm going to say 6 out of 10 on the knockout. The pick, though, on Randy Brown, confidence level around the 8 out of 10. Then we got Michel Pereira taking on Abus Magomedov. Michel Pereira is, everybody's favorite round 1 fighting middleweight. We had to watch that awful destruction of him against Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, and I bet on Michel Pereira in that fight. And boy, did I look like a fool late. But Michel Pereira, he just looked unbeatable at 185, man. He was coming out here, putting guys out in round 1. Being an absolute storm. Obviously, he hurt Fluffy Hernandez early in that fight, wasn't able to capitalize, and then got drowned like people do against Fluffy Hernandez. In this matchup here, though, Abus Magomedov, where do you put him? Because he came in, beat Dustin Stolfus. We thought he was a destroyer. Goes out there, death gasses against Sean Strickland. Seems to have patched the holes in that one now. Still gassed a little against Bruno Ferreira, but was able to find a finish late in that fight there. Now he takes on Michel Pereira. It's hard to know who is going to be the better athlete in here. I think Michel Pereira is actually going to have the better gas tank against Abus Magomedov. I truly do. I think that he's going to still have more late in this fight. Is he going to be able to stop the takedowns of Abus if he goes down that route? That's something we're going to have to see. I'm going to say yes early, but I don't know about late. I think Michel Pereira wins this fight in rounds 1 or 2, but if it goes long, I will be concerned. So the pick is going to be Michel Pereira. The line to me is about perfectly in line with how I believe this fight should be lined. So I'm going to go Michel Pereira, the slight favorite here, to get it done by finish. Then we've got Giga Chikadze coming back in what seems like forever. I know it hasn't been forever, but it feels like it's been years since I've seen Giga Chikadze fight. I know it was only last year, but it just, for some reason, it feels like such a long time. He's 36 years old. He's taking on David Onama here. Giga Chikadze, people are talking about prime Giga and how he could utilize his kicks here and stop the movement of David Onama and all the rest of it. I don't think we're getting prime Giga. I think we're actually going to see the worst version ever of Giga Chikadze. I think he's going to come in here, be a little bit slower, a little less output, and I think he's going to get out-willed and out-decisioned by David Onama here. I think David can use his boxing and his grappling to get in and just smother Giga Chikadze here and win himself either a 29-28 or a 30-27. I'm going to go David Onama. Give me the youth. Give me David Onama to win this fight by decision. Then we have Anthony Smith. Anthony Lionheart Smith taking on Zhang Minyang. I don't want to say a bad word about Anthony Smith, man. I could come in here and start ragging on Anthony Smith. Should he be here? All the rest of it. He is 38-21. That is almost 60 fights. This will be his 60th fight. 60th pro fight. Guys, I could not imagine putting myself through 6 fights, let alone 60 fights. He's made the professional walk. This will be his 60th time going out there. And if you want to say it's not his best day, you want to say that he's washed, you want to say all the rest of it, so what? He has put his absolute body on the line for entertainment purposes of people around the world 60 times. So Anthony Smith does deserve a little bit of our respect. That is honestly how I'm starting to feel about this. But does he deserve our betting money? Absolutely not. It's got to be Zhang Minyang, and it's got to be Zhang Minyang inside the distance. The wear and tear on the body of Anthony Smith and his mind seems to be unbearable at this point. We saw the worst version of him ever come out last time. He had his hands down, eating punches. If I am watching that visual, and I think he's going to survive 15 minutes against Zhang Minyang, who has 18 finishes out of 18 wins, it's a no-brainer for me. Zhang Minyang is the second half of the week. If you guys haven't seen that video, you're missing out. Absolutely devastating edits made for that video. Zhang Minyang coming to bang. He's going to go out here, put the nail in the coffin, retire Anthony Smith, send him to the analyst desk where he should be. We're already at the main event. Ian Machado Gary takes on Carlos Prates. I could sit here and talk about how Ian Gary is a great athlete, how he's a lifelong martial artist. I could talk about how his ground game's this, all that. But the honest review here is I don't care. Give me the fighting nerds. Give me Carlos Prates. Give me the Muay Thai striker who's smoking a pack of Marlboro Reds to come in here and knock Ian Gary out. Because listen, guys, Carlos Prates, he is aura farming to an absolute max right now. He is coming out here. He's catching bodies. It's not like he's just beating people. It's not like he's just knocking them out. I was there watching Li Jinglang get knocked out in person at Perth. And I tell you what, I was speechless because Carlos Prates, he goes out there and he bangs on people, man. Ian Gary, I don't think he's seen the type of striker that Carlos Prates is. I think he's special, man. He's long. He's dangerous. He definitely has that sneaky too if he needs it. He uses his front leg like an absolute whip. I'm going to take Carlos Prates to win this fight by knockout. And guys, before you run away, if you want to unlock my premium bets for this weekend, and I'm supremely confident this weekend, go to We Want Picks. Go to We Want Picks Premium. You can sign up using the link in the description of this video. Code BetSam for 10% off of your first purchase, and you can unlock all of my bets. I'll see you all at the cash counter. Thank you for watching, and let's make some money this weekend.